Hey, thanks for joining us for a special edition of In the Know. Of course, we've been talking so much about Earth Week, and I want to focus in on Ottawa because this week will be huge in the nation's capital. 170 countries coming together, hopefully to put the Global Plastics Treaty in further motion. We got a special edition today because video journalist Michael Vann joins us. And Michael, you've been working so much with our climate division to talk about plastics, the problems that plastic creates right across Canada. We're going to get into our climate series in a second. You can find it on YouTube. But first, Michael, let's talk about Ottawa and what's happening this week.
You know what is so interesting about Ottawa is that we have all these countries coming together to have this massive conversation on what to do about plastic pollution across the globe. And we're going to see some really major decisions being made here on Canadian soil. So it's an exciting time to actually be able to have that conversation right in our own backyard.
Absolutely. Now, of course, Earth Day is on Monday, and the theme is Planet versus Plastics. So this conversation coming at a really good time. The Global Plastics Treaty started in 2017. Of course, it was put on a bit of a hold because of the pandemic, but this week expected to really get it back in motion. So what can we expect from Ottawa?
So a lot of the conversations that we're expecting to see out of Ottawa this year are going to be around, or this session, I should say, are going to be around the details that will actually be in the final treaty. So the goal in all of this is to put a stop to plastic pollution by 2040, which may sound like an ambitious goal, and I do believe that it is. But if we come together collectively across the globe in order to put action into place, and some of the things that you would that you can expect to see are conversations about the reduction of new plastics. Also, how do we reuse plastics as well so it becomes a more circular economy when we're talking about plastics? So all of that combined, those are the types of conversations that we can expect to see. Now, some of the conversations that we might expect not to see are going to be some of those key, more controversial elements that might be saved until the next session, which we'll talk about in just a bit.
Yeah, so there's 5 sessions total. This is now the 4th one. So what would you say some of the next steps would be?
So next steps are going to start to look more, so we actually have one more meeting that's planned in Korea in November. That will be the 5th and final meeting. So the next steps are going to be taking away what's discussed and some of the agreements, taking those back to their home countries and exploring how do you start implementing that? Because you're looking at different levels of governments. You're looking at large governments, you're looking at small governments, you know, across the board. So there's going to be different levels of impact. And so before everyone can commit to these within the treaty, they have to go back and explore these as well.
And of course, single-use plastics will be such a massive topic in Ottawa this week. How to tackle it, how to reduce it, and really how to put some of those strict measures in place. So of course, the Weather Network will continue to follow what happens in Ottawa this week. And Michael, we have a minute left here. Let's talk about your series, Building Better. We can find it on YouTube, and it's something that you hosted, you produced for the Weather Network and our climate division.
Absolutely, and one of the most fascinating stories we were able to highlight is a company called EcoPlast Solutions, based out of Lloydminster, out in Alberta, Saskatchewan border there. The really cool thing about this company is they're actually taking plastic bottles, they're turning them into a foam core, and they're using that to actually build houses, Rachel.
Wow, that's cool.
And there's so many benefits around this. I mean, you know, the houses themselves don't need any additional insulation. It's turned into an inorganic material, so it doesn't mold. You're not dealing with mildew issues and things like that. They're also taking this concept and they're bringing it to First Nations communities, and
cool.
Which I think is really cool. I mean, they just installed a 5-bedroom home as well. So check that out on YouTube.